Hello and welcome to Gone Phishing. It's a podcast from the North East Business Resilience Centre, aka the NEBRC, focusing on all things cyber related. Our aim is to help raise awareness and understanding amongst business audiences, supporting them to be better prepared and protected from the growing issue of cybercrime and fraud. I'm Rebecca Chapman, the CEO of the NEBRC, and also a superintendent at South Yorkshire Police with over 30 years policing experience across uniform and CID. And today I'm delighted to be speaking to Shaune Worrall, the technical lead from the British Insurance Brokers Association. Hello and welcome, Shaune.
Good morning, Becky.
So Shaune is the policy lead for cyber insurance at BIBA and the spokesperson for cyber in the organisation and to insurance industry stakeholders and government. He's interested in access to and affordability of cyber insurance for businesses in the UK as a means to increase our community cyber resilience, working with specialist insurers and brokers to inform product distribution and development. Shaune, can we start by hearing a little bit about your role and what BIBA does?
Yep, certainly, Becky. One of my roles at BIBA is to help our members, who are insurance brokers and intermediaries, access and navigate cyber insurance. I have similar roles within flood insurance too, and other key policy areas. What this means is sharing technical knowledge and market insight with our members and with groups who want to further UK cyber resilience. So in the main, this is government, it's insurers, other trade bodies and journalists. So I also help author guidance, putting publications out, and we're just about to launch a new cyber guide for businesses and brokers. So it's quite a varied role, but with that aim of bringing more information and helping people navigate cyber insurance. The idea of the guide is actually to help firms prevent and survive a cyber attack. So it's the second one we've done, and hopefully it will be as informative and successful as the others. My other I suppose key areas is a lot of engagement with government. Sometimes we're lobbyists, but in the main, we just want to be a trusted insurance voice to the industry and members. It's nice to effect positive change when you can, which is something I remember when I'm relevant to this. The governments across the world were talking about banning insurers from paying claims for ransomware attacks. At that time, we put forward a different view. Insurers employ many professional cybersecurity engineers and legal teams, ransom negotiators, business interruption specialists, all of which help businesses deal with cyber incidents. Compare that though, if you're left on your own with no experience, no resources to negotiate with cyber criminals. So you can quite quickly see where you hope the influence is. Insurers aren't going to pay ransoms willy-nilly, and in fact they're determined to work with law enforcement agencies to crack down on cyber criminals. And in the end, we resisted banning ransomware insurance and many businesses have benefited. So in the sense of looking at something like that, you can see how far the scope of the role goes, but it's to bring insurance market insight and bearing to help businesses. So I see firsthand what happens to businesses, and certainly if they didn't have cyber insurance, some of those they'd be wiped out by now. It's when you find yourself locked out of your systems, your computer systems, and everything in the business just ceases. Somebody described it to me a short while ago as a little bit like a power cut. The only thing is you don't know when the lights are going to come back on. And in the meantime, you're telling staff to go home. So at that point, you don't know whether you're going to be trading again or when or if you're going to be trading again. And I suppose what I'm able to see is the difference that cyber insurance makes in that situation. Because with good cyber insurance, you can pick up the phone to an instant response team who are trained to get you, back on track, back in business with minimum disruption and financial impact. And they'll help you make decisions, legal decisions. How do you communicate with your customers? They're on hand to take you by the hand and restart the business.
And it's a huge industry, isn't it? So you've got about 1,800 regulated firms and over 100,000 staff included in that remit.
Yes, yes, and BIBA's I suppose, has an influential role, but we ourselves are still quite small as a trade organisation. What we do have is a dedicated cyber committee, and that's made up of expert brokers, insurers, reinsurers, and they listen and inform us about issues and events all around the market. So BIBA brokers are talking to businesses every day about their cyber exposure and how to access suitable cyber insurance. I think it's also worthwhile saying another part of the role. I'm also a cyber insurance buyer. I'm the insurance manager for BIBA as well. So I'm in a similar position as an SME organization, as an insurance buyer. We need to get good value from cyber insurance and weigh up the cost benefits. So we're very much in a similar position to maybe some of this audience. So yes, we are cyber insurance buyers.
So that you mentioned previously to me that you see cyber insurance as a service and not just a liability cover. So is that what you're referring to, that kind of incident response if something happens?
Yeah, absolutely. Cyber insurance used to be just getting claims paid. Very valuable. Restore your systems, settle compensation claims against you if there was a data breach. This is incident response. As I say, extremely valuable as a service. And like most insurance, it reacts to get you back into the position you were at before the incident. But good cyber insurance is also proactive. So it means you get cybersecurity services included. And I think it's important to realize as well that it also means you don't need to make a claim to benefit from the policy because you're getting these added cybersecurity services. So it's preventative as well as stepping in later on to help you out in the event of an incident. And what I mean by preventative is, you take out the cover from day one. Your insurer will be monitoring your footprint in cyberspace, be identifying vulnerabilities, and warns you if there's an issue. So they're actively scanning, device scanning, dark web monitoring, and looking at threat intelligence sources that insurers have before any of these threats can harm you. So that's where we're going to when we talk about cyber insurance as a service. It's proactive as well as being reactive. And it's one that helps prevent cyber events from happening in the first place, as well as stepping in quickly to sort you out when an incident takes place. What I love about it as a cyber buyer on behalf of our organization is some of the apps you get. So I have something called Ask the Expert, and that's a cybersecurity app that's part of my insurance program. And I can literally ask anything. So is this a phishing attack? Ask anything about the cybersecurity that I've got, what I should be doing, and they come back with guidance and answers. And the reason I mention that is because I know of a firm that had a foreign domain registry approach it to say, do you want to buy this domain name so that somebody can't pass themselves off as you? So entirely sensible and something a lot of businesses do. But that was a scam. And it was only when the policyholder used their app from the insurer is able to trace it to something, a scam which had been happening since 2018. And in fact, that business told me that they saved over half of its annual cyber insurance premium compared with what it would have paid to the domain registry to register that domain name. So that's where the apps come in, and that's where the preventative side of it makes businesses safer with a cyber policy.
And so when we invited you to take part in the podcast, you mentioned that you wanted to bust a few myths. So kind of here's your chance.
Yeah, we do quite a bit of this because there's quite a few anecdotes out there and a bit of urban myth. I suppose the one I hear most of all is, my business is too small to be of interest to cyber criminals, to a cyber attack. And I can say that's not true. The leading cyber insurer has said that 96% of all cyber attacks are directed at small and medium-sized businesses. So that's definitely a myth. And that's because cyber criminals see SMEs as low-hanging fruit. They don't expect them to have the resources to defend themselves like a big company would. And at the same time, a smaller company can be the back door to a larger company, a much larger organization, because they share systems, and potential criminals will try to get into the small company to exfiltrate information from the larger one. So cyber supply chain security and risk is quite a big concern there. But absolutely no firm is too small. It's not really about how valuable you are. It's how vulnerable you are. That's what the cyber criminals are looking for.
And can you think of any other myths that are out there?
Yeah, I suppose the other one is that IT providers, particularly if you outsource your IT, like a lot of us do, they'll say they have good security built in, and you don't need insurance. So whilst we absolutely endorse good cybersecurity prevention, 100%, absolutely right. We also know that 75% of claims, insurance claims, were caused by human error. So no matter how good the security is, we're all vulnerable as individuals. We're all vulnerable to those scams, to phishing attacks, social engineering, transfer of fund frauds. The human is still vulnerable in this. And we also know that cyber threat actors continually evolve to bypass the latest security systems. So absolutely, insurance is there as that additional layer. Traditionally we've thought of tangible property risks, and you might have CCTV, sprinklers, alarms, but you would still buy property insurance because that doesn't always stop a fire or a theft happening in a business. And think about cyber similarly as that additional layer, so that when a loss happens, you've got something to step in and protect you there.
Do you find that IT providers are not necessarily security experts, cybersecurity experts? So actually the two disciplines are separate?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between IT operations and IT security. And I think it was one of the things that I had to get my head around in the beginning. That they do have different aims, different motivations. So yes, they are quite distinctly different like that, but have to come together now, along with your insurance planner, or an insurance broker, to make sure those things all fit and work in harmony. And we really see that. We see cybersecurity working very closely with cyber insurance, ultimately to protect that business and keep it functioning. I think the other one, similar to what you're saying there with IT suppliers, you need to think about if one of those suffered an attack and the effect that it would have on you. Maybe your IT supplier is attacked, and your customer data is exposed. So at that point, the chances are that you're still going to be responsible for that customer data, and that's going to come back to you rather than the IT supplier. And if there's a data breach, and people are suing for compensation, that's probably going to come back to you as well as the customer data owner, if you like. The other one I see is I already have cyber insurance. It's part of another commercial policy. And again, I would say, my experience, check this out. I think it's proving less and less likely in commercial policies that you would have protection from a cyber attack. There was an insurance market directive in 2019, and that said that insurers must give affirmative cyber cover in their policies, or be affirmative about cyber cover in their policies. So as a result, many insurers now exclude claims which result from a cyber attack.
So Shaune, what's your advice to businesses out there today, and what and how can they get cyber protected?
I think take on board as much guidance as you can about cybersecurity, about cyber insurance. There's a lot of great, good quality information out there to protect your business. You've seen some on the NEBRC website, and also have a look at our cyber insurance guide for businesses and brokers, which I can make available on the website. And pretty much prevention is, better than cure. Simple things like multi-factor authentication, backing up data, information and training to staff to be alert to phishing attempts. And as I said, 75% of claims have a human error factor. Also, these sorts of cyber controls are important to get the best terms from insurers. So it all works hand in hand together like that. And don't panic, but don't ignore the cyber threat, I suppose. A maxim we use is, doing nothing is not an option. So go to people, get advice, get insurance advice from a broker, and be proactive. As we were talking about cyber insurance as a service, you're getting that proactive cybersecurity element as part of the policy. And hopefully, that's going to take out vulnerabilities before they ever become an incident. To speak to an insurance broker about getting some of that good cover.
Where can they seek advice about finding an insurance broker?
BIBA has an online and telephone find insurance service. So again, I can post the details with you, and you can find a local broker. Obviously, it's national, so it includes Northern Ireland as well, and they'll help you find a broker who will then help you access the most suitable policies for your business. And again, for the business, I would say ask about the sort of policy that brings you that proactive threat and vulnerability monitoring, so you help prevent cyber incidents before they happen, as well as have the incident response service if it does. And don't let anybody baffle you with IT jargon. I suppose that's the only other bit of advice. I find that hard sometimes. There's definitely a new language out there. We've all got to kind of buy into it and get to grips with it. But what I find helps is glossaries. We have one in the new guide, but use the glossaries to understand these terms.
And what role do you see the NEBRC playing in all of this?
Yeah, and I think always raising awareness, education and awareness. We always come back to this. What more can we do? But there's always more people to reach. I think welcoming bodies like us is great. We're very grateful for you reaching out, and then we can talk about things like cyber insurance. From our perspective, we welcome feedback, from what you need from what businesses need from the insurance industry, and then I suppose awareness of kind of slightly new issues as well, or what's over the horizon. I suppose I have a concern at the moment that we're not always necessarily empathetic to people who suffer cyber attacks, and they are, victims of a criminal attack. So I think we need to have empathy with people and think about how we support colleagues' mental health. And I think organisations like yours can certainly help with that. And then how we discuss, how we plan for these things in society, extending perhaps to even young people in schools, very engaged in technology. Let's make sure they engage and see a career in something which is positive, and certainly don't sort of get involved with criminal cyber gangs. So incentivizing young people to use their skills to benefit their communities, that would be great.
So what would you say to a small business that was thinking about not reporting a cybercrime?
I think it's difficult. There's so much happening when you the victim of an attack. I think if you have an insurance policy and you're getting that advice, follow that advice, and being able to talk about it, the pros and cons, and overcoming some of that sort of reticence to do that. It's all understandable, but there are experienced people there to help you, and to help you deal with the immediate incident and the aftermath too. So certainly insurance companies work very closely. I know with the cybercrime units of National Crime Agency, with NCSC, etc., because their interest as well is tracking and cracking down on the cyber criminals. So they are sharing some of that information that they're able to share in order to help achieve that.
Okay, and would you, obviously at the NEBRC we offer a full range of student services, which includes vulnerability testing. Would you advise small and medium enterprises to take up those services?
I think yes. I think those services which are available, try them. It's everybody's day job is different, every firm is different, and we're all limited in what resources we have and what time we can spend with these things. But they are crucial, and I think when they're there and easy to access, and talk to other people. If you have businesses similar to your own, or you're on a high street, talk to somebody else as well, see what their experience is. And take something from that. There is great information out there, and it's just a case of thinking about it, processing it, and bringing it into your business, because that's the other thing, isn't it? You want to practice these things and learn from them.
Shaune, that's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you today. I'm really grateful for you sparing the time. I found that really informative. If people want to find out more information about how to get insurance advice, where should they go to?
You could look at our website, www.biba.org.uk, and you'll find details on there about the Find Insurance service as well, to find a local broker to help give you a steer.
Thank you so much for taking part in our inaugural podcast series, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Thanks, Shaune.
Thank you, Becky.